Okay, so what is an HTML? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It's a language that can be used to create websites. It also defines a page layout and appearance by using something called tags and attributes. Basically, a tag delineates a section of a page, such as header or body. An attribute specifies a value, such as the font color or the style. The most recent version of HTML is called HTML6, which competes with Adobe Flash. Flash is also a multimedia platform used to add animation videos and also interactivity to the website. So there are tags that are being used in the HTML pages. Something like HTML open tag. Also, you have to close the HTML close tag, and so on. In order for us to get connected to the internet, we need to have an internet connection. So there are several types of internet connection that we can discuss right now. One of them is called the dial-up. The other one is cable modem. The other one is digital subscriber line, or DSL. DSL has actually 3 different ways that we can access that. One of them is called symmetric DSL, which has the same data transmission rate to and from the phone network. Basically, another one is called asymmetric DSL, has a lower transmission rate upstream, which is about 3.5 megabytes per second, than downstream, which is typically 24 megabytes per second. And then we have very high speed DSL, which has downstream and upstream transmission rate up to 100 meg per second. Some companies, they use that. Maybe sometimes you have heard about T1 line, T2 line, where some organization, they always use maybe T1 line or T2 lines or T3 lines. These are basically provided by telephone company, and they are capable of transporting the equivalent of 24 conventional telephone line using only 2 pair of copper wires, T1. T1 uses 2 pair of copper wires to carry up to 24 simultaneous conversation and has a transmission rate of 1.5544 megabytes per second. In terms of the speed of the internet, do you know which countries has the fastest internet connection? Well, I can tell you the 10 countries with a faster internet connection. One of them is Hong Kong, then South Korea, Romania, Ireland, Czech Republic, Belgium, Switzerland, Bulgaria, Israel, and Singapore are the top 10 countries that has the fastest internet connections. Now let's look at some of the tools to get around the internet and find out how we can use these tools. Some of the tools are basically divided into 3 different categories. One of them is navigation tools. These are used to travel from website to website, or basically you can use it to surf the internet. Then we have the search engines. They are allowing us to look up information on the internet by actually entering the keywords in the topic that we want to search for. Third category is directories. These are indexes of information based on the keywords embedded in the document that allow search engines to find what you're looking for. Some websites, for example, like Yahoo, they use the internet to organize content into different categories. We talk about these 3 tools for getting around the internet and finding information. Now let's look in details about these tools. Navigation tools, which are being used for web browsers. Microsoft Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, Google Chrome, Apple Safari, and Opera are basically typical navigation tools that we use. These are the browsers that we might use to be able to look for something, and they have basically, you can bookmark things in there, you can actually go back to the history to see what you have looked for, and you can use the navigation buttons to go back and forth. Now let's look at the process that's followed by search engines. Some search engines such as Google, Bing, S.com, is an information system that basically will help the users to retrieve data from the web by using the search terms. All search engines follow 3 steps. One of them is basically, maybe you've heard about crawling the web. Search engine use this software called crawler or spider or bots maybe, and maybe similar terminologies. These automated modules search the web continuously for new data. When you post a new web page, the crawler finds it if it's public, and when you update it again, the crawler finds the new data. Crawler also checks to see what links on your page and making sure they work. If the link is broken, crawler identify it and include this information as part of the data about the page. Crawlers can also go through the other pages that are part of your website, as long as there are links to those pages. All the gathered data is basically sent back to the search engine's data center, so that the search engine has the most current information on the web. Another process in the search engine is called indexing. Indexing housed at a server farm. Search engine use keywords to index data coming from the crawlers. Each keyword has an index entry that's linked to all web pages containing that keyword. For example, a company selling a picture frame includes the term picture frame on its website several times. The indexing process recognizes the frequency of that and creates an index entry for the term picture frame. The index entry is linked to the company's website along with other sites containing the term picture frame as well. The last part of the process is called searching. When you enter a search term, the search engine uses the index created in the step before to look up the term. If the term exists in the index, the search engine identifies all web pages linked to that term. However, it needs some way of prioritizing the web page based on how close each one of the search term is. For example, you might say Aunt Mama's makes picture frame cookies and has a website for selling them. Someone search on the term picture frame might see Aunt Emma's site listed too. Because search engines are programmed to try to differentiate different types of search requests, they can also use terms such as posters, photos, and images to give higher priority to web page containing these terms. Nowadays, 2 types of searches are gaining popularity. First of one is graph search, which Facebook introduced in 2013, and knowledge graph, which Google also introduced. Graph search allows Facebook users to find people, photo, places, and interests that are relevant to them. Examples such as using the method could include people who like sausage and live in southwest part of the city. So, and basically it's looking up at the photos of all those friends who live at that part. In traditional Google search, users type in the word and Google basically displays the most relevant web page based mostly on the number of times those websites have been linked to. With Facebook graphic search, the object that users are searching for are not web pages. Instead, they are searching for virtual representation of real-world objects such as people, places, and photos. According to Google, Knowledge Graph provides answers to not just links. So the goal is to return pages that matches the entities or the concept that the keyword invoke. Google's database includes over 3.5 billion facts about 500 million objects. Categories include cities, countries, sport terms, and so forth. The directory, however, organizes information into different categories, as we have said before. There are 2 kinds of directory on the web. The first is automated one, or crawler-based directory. The search engines use that to create index and search terms and collects these terms automatically by using crawlers. Google, Yahoo, Ask.com, and others fall in this category. When your web pages changes, for example, these directories update their indexes and database automatically to reflect the change. The second type of directory is human-powered directory. If you want your web pages to be listed in search engines results, you have to manually submit keywords to a human-powered directory. It doesn't use crawlers to collect data. Instead, it relies on users to supply the data. After the keywords are submitted, they are indexed with search engine and can be listed in search result. The main difference is that if your web pages changes, the directory doesn't have the updated information until you submit changes to that directory. Open Directory is an example of human-powered directory. However, Google has many directories obsolete, and directories in general are not relevant as they used to be.